Hello, hello. There's nothing like the anxiety until you get that you're live, no matter how many times I do this. Hello, everybody. I'm Twanna Carter, and I am a career and anxiety coach. And I am live today because I'm going to be talking about the links between workplace anxiety and bullying, right? Ooh, that word bullying. Oh, yeah, I know. But do want to thank everybody for joining me. And I, again, am Tony Carter, and I help women who are fed up with their anxiety, holding them back. And what they want is to just break free of that stress and that doubt to get back on track, right, for success and happiness. Because really, if you do it right, you don't have to choose between the two. So I do want to say up front that for all of you who catch me on the replay, as always, thank you. I do appreciate that. And I want to say that I have a chat box. And if you have comments during the live, you can drop them in the chat and I'll answer them while I am on live. And those of you who catch me on the replay, go ahead and send your questions or your comments as well, because I do always circle back and I attend to those comments as well. So again, today's topic is the link. We're going to be talking about the links between workplace anxiety and bullying, right? And I know that also I do want to tell you, I do have some notes that are going to be referred to every so often. And I do have two screens up because I have a private Facebook group called Rising Above Anxiety, and it is for women. And if you want to join, you certainly can do that. Just do a search for Rising Above Anxiety on Facebook, and you can join. And ladies, for those of you in that group, your comments, I will see them. I will not see your name unless you go to you'd have to go to StreamYard, the app, and then give it permission to show your name. Other than that, it'll say Facebook viewer said this or Facebook viewer asked this question. So that's where we are, right? And I do want to say up front, last week I did an open topic Friday, and I am going to do the same thing this week. So stay tuned at the end. And I'll share with you how you can have your topics discussed on Open Topic Friday. So without further ado, let me ask you this question. Have you ever been at work and you felt just this excessive worrying, like it's like kind of riding your back, or someone maybe get that stress up and down the back of the neck, all down the shoulder? Or have you had problems like on a work night or right before getting to sleep? Or if you went to sleep, you couldn't stay asleep. You just kept waking up. Or someone dropped a pencil or a pen or something, you almost jumped out of your skin. Or have you ever just felt really jittery? Just like some people say, janky, your nerves are janky, you just can't settle down. Or have you felt like really extreme fatigue or tiredness, or you've been somewhere and you just felt like you got this lump in your throat and you almost can't speak? If you been places where you start trembling and shaking, either your hands can shake or your legs. I know for me, one of my legs would shake, and there were times when they both shake into their own rhythm. Yeah, that. Or have you just had extreme dry mouth? You had that dry mouth and just broke out in a cold sweat, maybe? Or has it just felt like your heart was just pounding and just racing, where it feels like it's gonna just jump out of your heart, and or it's just pound, just really fast, really hard beat, right? Or maybe you felt nausea and sometimes vomit, where you just had to get up and go to the restroom because you actually had to vomit, or run to a trash can because you just felt it coming up. In some cases, have you felt faint, like kind of woozy by the head, or have you actually passed out at work? Or do you have a lot of stomach aches and a lot of headaches? Just you've been to the doctor, can't figure out what's going on. You just know you have these stomachs and headaches, right? Chances are that you have felt some anxiety, a lot of anxiety. Yes, a lot of anxiety. If you're at work, especially, and you feel these things, it's not just at work. If you're thinking about going to work, or you're, pulling up and you start to feel this way, or you're getting ready the night before, yeah, you may be experiencing some workplace anxiety. And really, what's the tip? Because you can be anxious anywhere. Let's just face it. I have social anxiety. I can get anxious anywhere, not just at the job. But what's the tip off of all these things? What is the tip off that it's probably more than likely workplace anxiety? If you find yourself sick, then having to take off a lot of Mondays, it could be workplace anxiety. Do you take unusually large amounts of time off work? Anytime you take a day, and rather than a day, it's got to be 3, 4, 5 days at a time, because every time you thought you were better, when you start to get ready to go to work, you start feeling bad again. If you're feeling anxious, nervous, or even nauseated before it's time to go, for instance, if you go to work on a Monday morning, but Sunday you've had a great weekend, and then Sunday night, as you start to lay clothes out and get things ready to go back to work, you start getting this pounding headache, or you start to shake and shiver, or you just get nauseated and you get sick where you've got to go lay down, that's a tip off. It is probably workplace anxiety. And if you find that you're unable to focus to get tasks completed, get projects completed, it's like 2 and 2 is 4, but when you try to add it, things just don't add up together, and you just don't have that focus in anything. Especially if you're normally focused, if you normally get things done, if you normally bounce up and go to work, if you have any of these things and it's out of the ordinary for you, it probably is workplace anxiety. Now, like I said, you can be anxious, right? It doesn't have to be at work, but if those things, again, just thinking about returning to work makes you sick, it's probably workplace anxiety. Now you may be thinking to yourself, but what if I'm anxious prior to going to my job? Or what if I was already anxious before I ever started this job? Workplace anxiety can happen before you get to the job or after you get there. Sometimes it's the chicken or the egg. Some people get a job and that job ends up giving them anxiety, and they end up with workplace anxiety. Some people come to the job with a set of anxieties already, and what's happening on that job makes them even more anxious. So you're like, okay, got it. So where does bullying fit into all of this? Bullies at work use different tools in the workplace than they did in school, because a lot of people do feel that once I leave, and many of us dream, right? We've had that dream. I can't wait to get out of school. I'm going to get away from the bullies, and my life's going to be so much happier. It's going to be so much easier. I don't have to worry about being afraid. I don't have to worry about being sick and nervous, and because the bully is gone. But the truth is, bullies grow up and they get a job too. And we end up working in the workplace with these bullies. The tools that they use are really different than what they use in school. Okay. So in some workplaces, yes, there are bullies who still fight. Physically, they still fight. They come to blows. They still fight. And some bullies, it may not be that knockdown, drag out fight, although some of them do on the workplace. Yes, they do. It might be the walking by and shoving with the shoulder. It may be the slamming things down on your desk, or slamming a door closed by you, or pushing you out of the way, or accidentally stepping on your foot. It may be eating your lunch or eating things out of your lunch in the refrigerator. So the bullying takes a different tactic, but it's still bullying. Okay. And so again, it's you got somebody near you that's slamming things, breaking things. And I love it when people walk by you and they accidentally shove you or accidentally push you. And so we get that. Bullying really gets tough when the bully is your supervisor. Yeah, when the bully is your supervisor, it takes on a whole tenor to things. So it's not just a coworker who's bullying you. Oftentimes, supervisors can be bullies. It doesn't matter. It could be a director, it could be a supervisor, it could be a boss, it could be, administrative assistant. Anybody in a job can be a bully, right? And they still use some of those same skills they had. Again, most of the time in school, bullies beat you up, but some of them don't. For instance, oftentimes girls use social bullying. Right? What is social bullying? You can't be friends with her because I don't like her. Or what happened to my daughter? My daughter was a black belt. And so there's a girl in her school at the time who just wasn't sure my daughter wouldn't kick her butt. So what she was do is she was bully all the other little girls, and you cannot be friends with Alex because if you do, I'm going to beat you up. She would beat Alex up, but she would beat all the girls up in the classroom if they were friends with Alex. We call that social bullying. A lot of you will recognize it now on the job. Certain coworkers get together and they all whisper and talk, and then next thing you know, nobody's talking to you. And what that does is anytime you see people getting together and whispering, now you're feeling anxious. Like, are they talking about me? Are they going to get me back? Bullying on the job also looks like people who were supposed to work with you and give you data or give you information, and they don't. They're supposed to, there are 5 steps to doing something, and they will only tell you 3. And they just conveniently leave out 2 and leave you running around trying to figure out why something's not working. That's also a form of bullying. Or someone who's supposed to train you, and then you still can't figure out what to do on this job. Now you're feeling stupid because you can't figure it out. And then later on, you realize that there were 15 steps, but they only gave you 8. That also is a form of bullying at the job. Any type of bullying on the job still goes back to, it starts to mess with your self-esteem, and it just makes you anxious. Sometimes it's that gnawing anxious and that worrying because you're trying to figure out what's going to happen next. What are you going to do next? What do I got to be aware of now? What's going to happen then? It just revs up that anxiety. It revs up your stress as well, right? And it can leave you feeling worthless. Because bullying, especially when you have a coworker who's supposed to share things with you, or you're depending upon your coworkers to do your job and they withhold stuff from you, and they're withholding, and so you're only getting X amount of information, and now you're afraid, or your performance at your job is not great because you're missing stuff, but you are too afraid to tell somebody, well, I would do better if I had all the information. Then your self-esteem takes a hit. Your self-confidence takes a hit. And you get started to feel worthless, all right? So what are the other effects of workplace bullying in addition to the anxiety? Well, hypertension, high blood pressure. I've had coworkers who were so ill, they were sent home for a week. Their blood pressure was so high. They were just sent home for a week. It happens. You can also become paranoid that everybody at the job is out to get you now. Well, it could be only these 2 people, but because they have this whisper campaign against you, it starts to feel like everybody in the whole place is just out to get you. You're paranoid that everybody's trying to sabotage you. And if that doesn't increase your anxiety, I don't know what is, right? Don't know what was, because it will just skyrocket the anxiety. And also feeling excluded, socially excluded. If they all go out for drinks and everybody in the office was invited, but you, yeah, right. Or they all get together and go to lunch together, and you're like the only 1 or 2 people who does not get invited. And then they all come back and they talk about how great a time they had at lunch, and everybody went except for you. That, again, it just sends your anxiety up. It can even make you develop chronic stress. Anxiety in the workplace, with bullying in the workplace, also causes a type of anxiety known as social anxiety. It can actually cause, if you didn't come to work with social anxiety, workplace bullying can actually cause you anxiety as well. Okay. And it's just that feeling inept as well. It's just that feeling like, I don't get this, or, what's wrong with me? Why can't I make these people like me? We just start to feel some kind of way when we're bullied at the job. Also, workplace bullying can cause depression. If you have depression, I am a certified coach. If you have depression, however, you need to seek help from a mental health professional, especially if it gets bad enough where you can't sleep, you start to lose weight, or you're having thoughts of suicide, because it does happen. You need to see a mental health professional. You can start with your doctor. Oftentimes, if you're a primary care physician, they will refer you. They have referrals where you can get referred to a mental health profession, or call up your insurance company, or call up, community agencies. Wherever you go, just make sure you get help if you're starting to feel depressed because you're being bullied. As well, workplace bullying can cause substance abuse or use. In other words, there are people who are clean. They go to a job and they're bullied so much they start back using. So if that is you, again, seek professional help for that, because there are lots of things going on that you need help with, and that's typically beyond what a coach does, because a coach does not do therapy or substance abuse treatment. That's not what coaches do. Okay, so at the end of the day, whether you have one of these things, whether you have two of them or you have all of them, at the end of the day, it just make you feel miserable. It's like you don't want to go to work because you don't like the way you feel, and your self-esteem is suffering and your confidence drops, and it just feels like it's all your fault sometimes. It's not, but you tend to feel that way because we tend to point the finger back at ourselves, right? And if you don't handle workplace bullying, if you don't handle that anxiety, like I said before, it can become chronic stress. And chronic stress brings a whole host of illnesses, things that you really don't want. And we've talked about the heart problems, but it can also bring on lupus and arthritis, right? And diabetes, and due to chronic stress. So you do want to be sure that you're getting the help that you need, because chronic stress suppresses your immune system. That's why you're more susceptible to the diabetes and the arthritis and the lupus and those types of things. So while not everyone will get, let me say this, not everyone will get diabetes or arthritis, it is possible. Okay. I've seen people to get 2 or 3 of these illnesses because of chronic stress at the job. So the goal is really to take care of yourself by resolving the chronic anxiety and the chronic stress. It's like, who really wants to be miserable all the time because of their job? Part of my motto really is you can be happy and successful at your job. You don't have to be miserable. So what do you do if you're, I see it. Hold on a second. I got a comment here. Let me scoot this over. Yeah, put something in the way instead of scooting it over. Hold on a second. So Cynthia says, yes, social bullying is real. Absolutely, Cynthia. This one, I had to go to the school. I had to go to school because my daughter was being social bullied. It was pretty bad. It was bad. I'm glad to say that the school was really great, and they end up putting a bully unit into the school to teach everybody about bullying, because that was what I told the principals. Like, this isn't about my child, but there are other kids that are being bullied, and we're paying good money to come to a private school, and our kids are getting bullied. The same people that grow up and bully, they come to the workplace and they bully in the workplace. And again, I talked a little bit about, I mentioned that sometimes your boss is the bully. Yeah, yes, that happens, right? And oftentimes they hold over you. You either jump to my tune, like Geppetto, you jump to my tune like a puppet, or I'll fire you and you can't feed your family. You can't pay your mortgage. You can't buy food. You can't pay for that car. You can't live, right? And so that is the hole that people get caught up in. And if you already had anxiety and you have anxiety on top of that, it leaves you feeling stuck. And when I get people, and this is the reason why I do anxiety coaching and I do career coaching together, because I have clients who spent years in a job because of fear of leaving, because they needed a job. I was like, no, you need a job. You don't need that job. You need a job where you don't make yourself unhealthy by staying at that job. So yes, sometimes the strategies that you got to use to combat a workplace bullying, so you can get rid of workplace anxiety, is you got to find a whole new job. Yep, I said that. I really did. You got to find a new job. Now, I'm not saying that you need to quit now. You got to start looking to set yourself up so when it's time to jump, there's nothing more than saying, take this job and shove it, because I ain't working here no more, right? There's nothing more than to be able to say that. That is like the niche that I'm in for coaching. I do that. I help people do that. And I've done it, and I've done it successfully. And I know it feels good for the client, but it feels good for me too, because I've been stuck. in places where just anxious and being bullied at a job, feeling like I didn't have a choice to stay there. That's one of the things when I got out of the military, I said that never again when I have a job that I couldn't leave it when I want to. I said never, ever, ever will I have a job that I don't have the choice to leave that job when it gets stressful or it gets bad or I'm being bullied. And I got to say, knock on wood, I've been out of the military since 1994 and I have never held a job that I couldn't walk off and leave when it got bad. And I did get my third job out of the military. One, two, three. Nope, my fourth job out of the military, I worked for a bully. So my boss was a bully. And she told me, pretty much said that since I was a single parent with 3 kids, I had to take what she was putting down. What was I going to do? Leave without a job? I had 3 kids to take care of. What did I do? I left that job. Right? I leaped to another job. Right? Yeah, you don't have to stay. And let me say right now, if you are stuck in this place feeling like you have no choice but to stay there and take it, you really do need to set up a complimentary coaching consultation with me because we got work to do. We can do better. You can do better. I got proof. I know that you can do better. Again, I'm not saying quit, although I have known people that because their doctor was saying you got to take a week's or you got to take a month's worth of sick leave. You can't go to work because you're so chronically stressed. I've seen that happen where people actually did have to quit the job just on the spot because the job was literally, the stress because of the job was literally killing them. But I am saying to you that you don't have to get to that point before you find another job. And I know it's scary. I know it's tough, especially if you have anxiety because you're like, I don't want to have to interview again. I don't want to have to put out a resume. I don't want to have to put myself out there. But that's what I do. And that's what I do well. I help you get it together. I help you get that resume together. I help you go out and interview, and I help you get that next job. And yes, you can do it, and you can do it successfully. There's nothing like a client who calls back and says, I got to go. I can't see you no more. I got a new job. I'm moving out of state. Or a client that calls and said, not only did I get another job, but I got a promotion too. That's where it's at. But I told you I would tell you some strategies. So number 1 is find another job. Enough said on that, right? But and even if you can't leave now, it needs to be high on your list, and you need to be making sure that resume is squared away, making sure you're networking and joining groups and looking at job announcements, right? Especially if your boss is a bully, unless your boss gets fired or moves somewhere else, it's probably not going to improve. Okay. Now, I talked about in my group where, sometimes it does all the time. It starts with understanding what your company policy is about bullying and intimidation. If they have a written policy, then that's where you need to start, right? I don't always tell people to talk to HR first because you have to understand your HR is in administration's pocket first. They exist to take care of administration. So if your boss is a bully, you got to know whether or not you're going to be able to go to HR and get help. You can certainly get the policies, read the policies. You should be able to find that online. But how you go about it can be really, really sticky. Now, I have done this with people. I will say that I have done it. But if you're talking about you think it's a hostile work environment, that's when you need to step out and get an attorney. You need an attorney who understands hostile work environment, so you understand all the legal ramifications to that. And so that part of I don't do now. I will coach you on anxiety that you're dealing with as you're working with an attorney about hostile work environment, but that takes a whole nother track. And so that's something totally different. So here I'm going to tell you about some things that you can do to reduce that workplace anxiety. So number 1 is, other than finding another job or putting yourself in a position to get another job, number 2 rather is be sure to make time to look after yourself. Self-care is not as important as it is right now when you're being bullied, especially if it's causing chronic stress. Take time away from the job if you need it. Do self-care, whether it's mani-pedi, depending on whether or not you're social distancing. Take a trip, go to the country, go to nature, go swimming, look at water, sit at the beach, go to a snow-capped mountain, whatever you need to do to bring it down 1,000 and take care of yourself. That's what you need to do. Find things, number three, find things that make you laugh, that make you smile. If it's pulling up an old comedy on Netflix and binge watching, go ahead. If it's pulling up comedies on YouTube and just binge watching, go ahead, because that laughter will reduce anxiety. It will also reduce stress. And smiling and laughing just makes you feel good in the moment, right? So number four, get an anxiety coach. It's especially great for rebuilding your self-esteem, rebuilding your self-confidence, and helping you to rediscover your self-value. That is what I do when I work with people who have been in, under a workplace bully and have that workplace. That's what we help you do. That's why we're here. And number five, take lunch breaks and share a meal with someone else outside of your job. A really good thing to do, even if it's nothing more than going by and catching, like doing coffee with someone. But get out. Again, if you can get out in nature, all the better, but change the scenery, take a break, and it will do you a world of good, right? Also, go for walks outdoors on your breaks or your lunch breaks when possible. Again, you're out in the fresh air, you're smelling that fresh air, you got the sunshine, and being in nature actually helps reduce your stress. So same thing for workplace anxiety. Then also be sure that you reflect things in your life, right? Reflect on the things that are going great, that are going good, because while the workplace may not be what you like it, there's probably somewhere else in your life that is going well, right? And so I have lost count. So let me go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, 7. Think about the good things. So 8 is change the scenery and get out of emotional rut. You really do need to change that scenery and find something else, do something different, do something challenging, do something exciting, or you can even as much call up an old friend, reconnect, just do something. I know social distancing may prevent some of that, but certainly not doing a Zoom chat with someone where across the world that y'all used to know each other and you can meet up together and just talk and have fun, right? And number 9, focus on life outside of your job, such as hobbies or friends. Very helpful for you. And number 10, examine what you fear will happen and ask yourself whether it's an irrational fear, is it real? So especially if it's a coworker that's kind of bullying you, don't assume that your boss agrees with it and you're going to get fired every day. Because if you walk into your job thinking you're going to get fired every day, that just puts this burden on you. It puts even more stress on you and causes even more anxiety. So examine what you're feeling just to see if it's reality. Sometimes it is. Sometimes you got those, as I like to call them, trifling coworkers, just trifling, who are in the corner and they're about you. I've been there. It's tough. It is tough. Or when you've got that coworker who's holding back stuff, trying to sabotage you, that is tough. Call it for what it is. Don't go, oh, it's just probably not happening. If you see it happening, it's happening. This step is about examining and finding irrational fears, but when you find stuff that is true, believe it. It's true, right? And the last thing is leave work at the office. Don't bring it home with you. I said that, and whoa, for all of us out here teleworking, that means that when it's time for you to get off, leave the job. Turn off the computer, sign off, turn off your cell phone, turn off the tablet, turn it off, power down, whatever you got to do, walk away. Walk away. Even if you're teleworking, you can still walk away from it. You don't have to hold on to it. Be sure you're giving yourself that mental break between job and home life. Give yourself that break. That break does allow you to manage your anxiety and come down 1,000, so you can really think about what you're doing, right? And sometimes you do just need to get that thought process and get it in gear. And again, I've had clients where they've been on a job 10 or 15 years and afraid to leave. Do get a coach if that is you. If it is you, I'll stick my Calendly invite out there and call me and let's just sit down. The consultation is absolutely free. And you will walk away with the plan, just a plan that gives you clarity of how to take that next step. Because if you stay there too long, then you start to feel helpless. Then you start to feel hopeless. And then that's a whole nother set of things. You don't have to feel helpless. You don't have to feel hopeless, and you don't have to stay at that job, right? Now, sometimes it is great if you have a great HR and it's a coworker and you pulled up the regulations, you've spoken to your boss. Do take that route, and sometimes it works. I've taken that route. I've taken it on different jobs, and sometimes I've just got a whole nother job. It was just best. If it feels like everybody in a place is all in it together, sometimes you just need to leave. That's just the way it is. Not like right now, but you need to start preparing yourself to get another job and leave. It is very possible to do that. Okay. So I do want to think I have a member in my Rising Above Anxiety group, as well as a member in my Women on a Mission group who talked about workplace stress and anxiety. Thank you for bringing that up. That's where I get the topic from. This Friday, I told you I would tell you. This Friday is another Open Topic Friday, and Open Topic Friday is where you can just come and shoot me an email, shoot me a text message, leave me a comment, and tell me what you're having issues with, and then I cover that in a live. And I will either cover it on a live like this, or I will cover it on Any Topic Friday, Open Topic Friday. So this Friday is Open Topic. You can get your information to me any way you want to, any way you can, and I will definitely, that's what we'll talk about on Open Topic Friday, right? So if you have found this live helpful, be sure to give me a thumbs up, make it a favorite, share with a friend. All of those things are helpful, right? And again, I said I will give you the Calendly link. If you're in a place where you are, you're being bullied and you have like more than 2 or 3 of those, what happens after you're bullied and you get anxious, give me a call, because it's probably time for you, number one, manage the anxiety, but number two, do better. Some people get, some people they get promoted at the same place. They just get promoted, and it's always nice to get promoted and make more money, especially when you felt so bad about where you were, and you come to coaching, and I get that self-esteem rev back up, and we get that confidence rev back up, and then you make that leap. And I've had clients that make as much as find another job, making as much as $10,000-$15,000 more by leaving their job. You wouldn't have told them they can do that. I mean, they would have thought, no way, Jose, not gonna happen. That's not possible. I can't. You have choices, but you just really need to get with a really good coach, whether it's me or whether it's another anxiety coach. You just need to get with a really good coach, and there are options, and you will be surprised at how many options you do have, right? Trying to find my comments here. Gonna put that link out there. That's my calendar. Just set up, go out there, find something that's convenient for you, because you don't have to be stressed. Even in times of COVID-19, as soon as I'm done here, I'll put another announcement, another post out there. Even in COVID-19, people are hiring. There are some places that have as many 700 jobs they're still hiring for. It's going to depend on what your background is, but you will never know if your background fits if you don't at least look. Take the time to look and start preparing yourself. And what I often have my clients do, the first thing that I tell you to do is just start working on the resume. Sometimes just working on that resume, being sure it's updated, will calm your anxiety a little, because you stop feeling hopeless and helpless, like this will never end. There is an end to it. You can get there. We can get there together. So those are my motivational nuggets from you. Thank you for joining and hanging in there all the way through. And as well, those of you who are watching this on the replay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, feel free to put your comments and questions there, because I still circle back and I answer those comments and questions. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.